President, we have a national emergency.
This is one of the things that we can shoot first and ask questions later. Normally you can't do that.
All of a sudden these trees started moving out of the way. They parted for me. And then I came out into this opening, and there where I saw Jesus Christ.
Back in 1927, an American socialist, Norman Thomas, 6 times candidate for president on the Socialist Party ticket, said the American people would never vote for socialism. But he said under the name of liberalism, the American people will adopt every fragment of the socialist program. He is more imminent.
James Madison, in 1788, speaking to the Virginia Convention, said, "Since the general civilization of mankind, I believe there are more instances of the abridgment of the freedom of the people by gradual and silent encroachment of those in power than by violent and sudden usurpations."
When men were free.
Broadcasting live from a secret location buried deep below the earth, you're about to make a connection to the signs of the times. W. Dean Shook is live on the air right now.
Welcome into our national audience and our international audience. This is End Time News. I am your host, W. Dean Shook. Thank you for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you. So let's take a look. Has 2014 been a year of our values, or has this been a year where we have been dominated by the politically correct? Let's take a look at the current headlines and see where we stand on that. According to WND, the feds are hiding forced abortion payments. The Obama administration is coercing Americans to pay for abortions through Obamacare and then concealing the payments from the ones who are being billed. This, according to the Health and Human Service Secretary Sylvia Burwell and others in Washington. The letter is from the Alliance Defending Freedom, the Charlotte Dozier Institute, and the Family Research Council. It also addresses in the letter is the U.S. Office of Personnel Management because of its rules it intends to impose regarding Obamacare and the mandatory payments for abortion. Although federal law prohibits taxpayer subsidies for elected abortions, regulations under the Affordable Care Act prevent disclosure of the abortion surcharge to customers, who then unknowingly pay the fee to cover elective abortions. This, according to a statement the organizations released last week. No one should be forced to pay a secret fee to cover other people's elective abortions. This, according to Senior Counsel Casey Maddox. The Obama administration needs to stop deceiving the American people and coercing them to fund abortions. No matter where a person stands on abortion itself, anyone should be able to agree this type of intentional and illegal deception is wrong and needs to stop. FRC and the Dozier Institute have collaborated on a new website called ObamacareAbortion.com, which monitors the problems with coerced abortion funding. The site explains the Government Accountability Office found 1,036 of Obamacare policies sold in 2014 included abortion on demand. Unfortunately, it took many months and a government watchdog report to finally identify the abortion covering plan for 2014. But now, for 2015, the problem continues. Due to the lack of transparency in Obamacare, Americans are again finding it difficult or even impossible to clearly discern whether the Obamacare plan that they're considering includes abortion. This is critical information since individuals purchasing plans that include abortion are required to pay this hidden abortion surcharge. Through the surcharge, a portion of each individual's insurance premium goes into a fund used to pay for abortion on demand. And in this related story, and this is a WND exclusive, how long will you let Obama make up the law as he goes? A team of constitutional law experts filed a brief Monday with the U.S. Supreme Court asking the justices if they're willing to allow President Obama to continue making up the law as he goes. The brief by the Center for Law and Justice asked the court to reject IRS regulations that illegally authorize tax subsidies for purchasers of health care on federal exchanges. Now, the case is one of several that could create a massive roadblock for Obamacare. The law is written so that only those who obtain insurance through state-established exchanges qualify for federal subsidies. But the IRS, in violation of the plain language of the law, has allowed the granting of subsidies to people obtaining insurance through the federal exchanges. A reversal could mean a loss of subsidies for participants in 36 states, where consumers would see immediate and massive rate hikes. The brief charges IRS regulations are part of the administration's ongoing efforts to rewrite or suspend portions of the law in violation of the separations of power. That this is another example of the executive overreach of the president. This, according to Jay Sekulow, chief counsel of the ACLJ, the IRS regulations in place are the most egregious example of the administration's make-it-up-as-we-go approach to implementing Obamacare. The regulations, he said, eviscerate Obamacare's goal of encouraging state participation and promote the federalization of the nation's health care. The ACLJ argues there's no evidence Congress wanted to offer subsidies in states that don't have their own exchange. The law must be applied as written. This is vital to democracy. And if the law as written doesn't work, it must be corrected through a democratic process, not regulatory fiat. This violates the separation of powers, and we're urging the High Court to reject this flawed approach. Well, and what is society saying about gay marriage, euthanasia, assisted suicide? We're going to cover those in just a moment. Let me take this small break. I'll be right back.
Some time ago, I had a conversation with a Marxist economist from China. He was coming to the end of a Fulbright fellowship here in Boston. But I asked him if he had learned anything that was surprising or unexpected. And without any hesitation, he said, yeah. I had no idea how critical religion is to the functioning of democracy. The reason why democracy works, he said, is not because the government was designed to oversee what everybody does, but rather democracy works because most people, most of the time, voluntarily choose to obey the law. And in your past, most Americans attended a church or a synagogue every week, and they were taught there by people who they respected. My friend went on to say that Americans followed these rules because they had come to believe that they weren't just accountable to society, they were accountable to God. My Chinese friend heightened a vague but nagging concern I've harbored inside that as religion loses its influence over the lives of Americans, what will happen to our democracy? Where are the institutions that are going to teach the next generation of Americans that they too need to voluntarily choose to obey the laws? Because if you take away religion, you can't hire enough police.
Hi, this is W. Dean Shook. This is a personal commentary of things that need to be said. I've been pondering a question. Why do people who say they're Christian talk the talk, but when put under pressure, they don't walk the walk? We've been letting the cultural left get away with murder. I'm not just referring to the murder of our own children through abortion, or the mercy killing of the old, or suicide by calling it death with dignity, but also the broad cultural acceptance, including among Christians, of two stupid and dangerous ideas that have allowed the left to dominate the cultural decisions for decades. First, Christians are told very loudly, we can't legislate morality. This argument is inevitably used to justify the legality of something blatantly wicked or immoral, like abortion. Yet, countless Christians say that while they're pro-life, they do believe in Christian ethics. They don't think trying to impact public policy or bringing it to the public square because we're told we can't legislate morality. But we're forgetting something. All law legislates morality. All laws are put into place because of a value judgment that something should be permitted, restricted, regulated, or banned. But Christians are leaving these decisions to someone else's code of morality, and someone else's values are being used as a guiding principle for governance. If we don't fight for things like the lives of our unborn children and demand legal protection for them, then we're allowing the government to legislate their morality. We're allowing those who claim that the right to destroy human life on demand is right and is moral. Why? Because a new morality has been legislated and ours has been replaced. The cultural left, while silencing Christians with the demand that we stop trying to legislate our morality, is attempting to do that precise thing. When they scream that gay marriage should be legal and accepted, they're demanding this because they say it's right and good and moral. They're saying that to deny marriage to homosexuals is discriminatory, therefore wrong. And the solution, they tell us, is for the government and the courts to step in and ensure that this wrong is righted, that this injustice is corrected. Now, it's not that they don't think morality should be legislated. They simply think that Christian morality should not be legislated. The left has tried to silence Christians by saying that morality is subjective, if it even exists at all. That it's okay if you believe that, but that only means it's right for you. Other people must remain true to themselves and do what's right for them. Well, the truth is, morality cannot be subjective, or it's not morality. Right and wrong cannot be subjective, or they cease to exist. Crimes like rape and murder should be illegal because they're immoral. Christians argue they're immoral because God, the lawgiver, has said they are. The cultural left cannot claim that banning abortion is immoral. Why? Because they cannot claim anything is immoral. That each individual has their own morality. It's whatever is right for them. And inevitably, their claim that something is or is not moral is based on one thing: how they feel about something. And the hypocrisy here is blatant. We are in a time when what's good is being called evil and what is evil is being called good. Society has no standards. And the result of that is a massive, rapid decay of society. Turns out, what we're seeing today is the fruit of pride, greed, selfishness, and a total disregard for anyone but self. Our manufacturer, the one who created us, has given us a manual on how to operate this life. It's a book of standards by which we must live. It's the operating instructions on how to make this life work, and work correctly. How do we know when we've moved outside of these standards? What happens is things start going wrong. When things begin to stop working the way they're supposed to, bad things start to happen. Evil steps into this void and establishes its standards, the standards of evil, standards that lead to destruction. We, as Christians, need to either step up and start to reinstate some standards, or we're going to continue to watch our lives, our society, and the world in general crumble. Don't just talk the talk. Stand up. Be what God has told us to be. Walk the walk. It may be the only way to save ourselves. Hi folks, have you noticed the federal government and police departments are using drones for everything? Drones are expensive. They're hard to fly. It can take up to a week just to learn to make a drone hover. Not anymore. There's a new generation of drones that are not only affordable but very easy to fly. Now you can have your own personal drone, anything from a micro mini that'll fit in the palm of your hand, right up to a full-scale model, 10 inches in diameter like the model I have, the V949 Pro. Comes with a 6-axis